Greetings everyone. To celebrate the release of Echo on PDL, this is I'll be also celebrating by releasing the Hitbox project that I've been working on since last December. And this is it. This is with Echo. Echo just released yesterday on PDR, and I've been able to quickly wrap up everything and figure out what her hitbox looks like. And it looks pretty nice, honestly. A little bit surprised at the wings, but yeah, this is the entire project. A little bit of short reader commentary here, perhaps. And first, let's walk through how the entire thing was created. So in Blender, this is where I work with. This is how it looks like in Blender. I've been able to extract the coordinates of the position of the coordinates where the hitbox is in-game, extract the coordinates, put it into Blender, and fit the data with capsules so that you can actually see it right now when overlaid onto the in-game screenshot. So let's actually not use Echo as an example. Let's use a Junkrat. I've prepared a file here. So this is Junkrat. So when you run the workshop script in the game, and you would get something like this essentially, which is like a point cloud that surrounds the hitbox. You got all these datas, and then because that we know that the hitbox is a capsule, so we can figure out the position of the hitbox by essentially fitting spheres over these point clouds. And then when you have two spheres, you can essentially make a capsule. So for example, this capsule right here, this is made up of two spheres. So one sphere is right here. It's like an oval, but whatever, Those two spheres with each with its own center point, and also with fixed radius. So in order to make this work in Blender, all I have to do is to, for example, I have these points selected, for example these points, that consists of the top half of this spherical surface. Then I also write a script in Blender, so just with a press of a button I can essentially put a sphere, fit a sphere over the selected points that I have in game with very good precision. And afterwards I just perform this entire thing repetitively, and what we get is something like this. We have all these spheres positioned and accordingly to the data points. Afterwards, I wrote another function. Come on, please let me select the sphere, right? Which is to generate a capsule based on two spheres, actually just 2 points and a radius, and you have a capsule like that. So, and then do this repeatedly again, you get the entirety of the hitbox in place. And there's also one problem in Overwatch, is that not all of these hitboxes are capsule in shape. For example, Junkrat's tire is actually not a capsule. It's actually something like hexagonal, hexagonal cylinder, something like that. So to tackle this, essentially, I just make a cube out of that, and then I just slice off each face one by one until I get the desired shape. For example, this shape, I think it has 18 faces or 17, I don't know. Then afterwards, just fit it. So you get the entirety of the hitbox covered in these data points perfectly. In the entire game, there are only 3 instances where the hitbox is not in the shape of capsule, which is this one, Junkrat, and then Wrecking Ball's mech, his lid. It's something like this, but it's not symmetrical at all. And also Bastion's thread in his configuration tank. That is symmetric. It's actually 4 hitboxes, but it's mirrored through the center axis, so I only make 2 of them. And the last step of the process is to shade these models inside Blender so that when I lay it on to the overlay in the in-game screenshot, it looks nice. So it's just a basic shader, first now term, and then something special going now on the ground here. You can see if the you can see these blue rings as they approach the ground. So if they intersect the ground or close to the ground, they will have a blue ring there. If it intersects, for example like this, and then you can see the part which is below the ground surface is fainter, so you can know which part is actually synced down into the ground. This is especially apparent in Reinhardt and Winston's hitbox. Yep. So yeah, it's very long. It takes 4 months for the entire project, and I think it's worth it. The animations are nice. I'm very satisfied with the results. And yeah. So originally, actually, we don't. This is not the version I've been working on. Originally, the version that I've been working on is, something similar to the original version that I posted last November, which is only utilizing the in-game screen effects. The spheres in-game, and just use the in-game functions to map out the shape, the approximate shape of it. And obviously, you're limited by a lot of things. You can't place that many spheres in-game at once. You can only have 128 spheres in-game. Also, one thing that I noticed that because the colors are additive in-game, and you have a red in front of a green, or green in front of a red, you can't really figure out which part of it is actually in front. So, for example, here the yellow part is actually intersecting each other, but how do I know that if actually the head hitbox is actually in front of the greens or if it's behind? So this is a very obvious problem that I can't even think of how to solve. So then I went to extract all the coordinates in the game by just editing the workshop script a little bit. So that enables me to do everything now in Blender without just relying on the screenshots in game. Also in game, I'm only limited to not a lot of view angles. Here originally I have 7, but 7 means also there's like a lot of screenshots to deal with, and right now I need to only capture 360 screenshots per hero, and I can do whatever I want. I also can freely move my camera anywhere else as long as I keep my camera settings in both Blender and Overwatch the same. I can generate any view that I want as well. Also, since the 1.45 patch update, the workshop was added a very powerful functions, which is the logic functions like if, for, while loops, something like that. In the past, there only was like I think skip if, and it was like very limited, and it causes everything to run very slow. So how it works is like there's 2 machines in the script. The 2 machines, one in the front and one in the back, and it's firing arrays, firing scan lines from bottom to top, and when it finishes a vertical slice, it moves on to the next slice, a little bit to the left or the right, and then it does another again. So in the old version, one scan line requires 1 frame of server time, which is 0.016 seconds, because Overwatch servers run at 66 Hz, which limits my scan rate to 1 scan line per frame. But now, the for loop, it can handle a lot, it can bundle up a lot of commands in one go, which allows me to bundle 300 or 400 scan lines per frame, which means everything is going in hyperspeed right now. Of course, the raycast function is actually very expensive. It involves a lot of calculations. So if you spam it a lot, you can still crash the server. So I managed to make it not to crash the server, and it actually speeds up the entire project by I don't know how many times amount. So because of this, I can show you the table. This is the table that you can accessed from the Reddit post. This is the first sheet right here is all the raw data for each scan. For example, because when I try to copy the data from the debugger, it actually disconnects me from the server each time I do that, because each copy takes too long. Each copy can take from several minutes to half an hour, so it kicks me out. So if I need to get the full model, I need to actually go into the game multiple times and repeat the scan multiple times in like different slices. So this table records every single scan per row. It also indicates when the scan was scanned, what version of Overwatch is running. I can't possibly scan every single hero on one day or in one patch, because Overwatch patch actually come quite frequently. So and here all the miscellaneous data can be found. So what I'm talking about is right here, this column. Wait, where is it? Oh, this one. Scan line per second. You can see the old version, it lingers at 66, 65, 64. But since this update, you can see this line starting from Reinhardt, the scan line per second went up to thousands, which is very quick. And also, in the past, we can't disable the debugger recording. So each time the workshop runs a function, it takes a snapshot of the entire, all those variables down, and you're just wasting, memory, because in-game, actually, I think they have a limit of about 468,000 entries limited. The server can't hold that many debug information. So with this update, workshop update, you can actually shut down the recording of the debug and make the entry per hit rate down to a flat 2, which means now for every coordinate, for every hit of the scan line, I actually only need 2 lines of entry instead of like 15 or 11, just wasting time and wasting memory. Second sheet right here is the hitbox data for each capsule that I fit in game. One thing to notice that is all these columns that I highlighted in yellow. I can actually found that if you fit all these spheres, the radius are actually sort of like nice, having nice numbers. What I mean is, for example, look at Anna. This hitbox has a radius of 0.2, 0.20000, 0.2000, and then the rest like 0.500, 0.4, 0.500, 0.9200. They're like really nice whole numbers, although there's like a bunch of garbage at the end, but it's still some nice numbers. For example, see 0.2, 0.224, and then followed by a lot of zeros, 0.05, 000, a lot of zeros, except for one hero which does not show this property. I think it's Sigma in this case. Sigma hitbox does not have nice numbers like these, which I believe is because of Sigma is like a relatively new hero in the development cycle. Wait, where's Sigma? Oh, here, yeah, you can see the numbers are a little bit, messy. Like, for example, this one, 0.10265, you can't really see any patterns in there. 0.15865, yeah, something like that. Also, not only the radius, the length of the capsules are also in nice numbers. For example, the length is 0.07, 0.0800, for example, for this one, and for this one is 0.12000, So, it turns out, when Blizzard makes their hitboxes, it follows some rules, like this entering numbers onto the keyboard instead of like, shrink wrapping onto the character model. The third, also you can actually just take a look at all those hitboxes data. For example, the positions, the coefficient of fitting. Oh yeah, this is the document that I relied on to write the script in Blender to fit data points onto a sphere, which is kind of easy for me to do so. Just a few matrices, and that's done. And then you have, for example, if this column L is not NA, which means it is a capsule. The capsule have a length, and also the 2 child object, the 2 spheres that define the position, right here. and also finally the radius of the capsule, which is the average of the two parent spheres. Some of those have all NA, which is probably Junkrat's Hitbox or whatever. They have no data because they're not capsules. Then finally we have the area. Luckily, fortunately, in Blender there is a function that allows us to calculate the surface area or the volume of any mesh you have. This was originally for 3D printing, but I use it to calculate the size, for each hero respectively. So this is using the surface area. I'm not using volume because I found there's some problems when I use the volume. When I use the volume, the head volume and the body volume doesn't add up. But if I use the surface area, it does add up. So I use this one. And you can see in this table, every number, there's a raw data here, and also there is a percentage relative to ANA. People use ANA as a standard, so I use ANA as standard right here. So for example, Winston's Primal Rage, his head hitbox is actually 513.2% relative to Ana's head hitbox. And total for his total amount is 718% relative to Ana's entire surface area. You can also see the head ratio for each of these heroes. And then this two columns is basically useless because I was originally trying to find out if there is any correlation between the area and health. Sadly, there's no correlation at all. Okay, there's one more thing I think I need to cover, which is, let's go back to Echo. Let's go back to Echo and let's go in Blender. Alright, so this is Echo. When I fit, the spheres, I have some problems. For example, if you look at these capsules, let me just disable some of these. If you look at these capsules, the cylindrical surface, both spherical surfaces are visible. Very good. I can just select all these points, and then I have to have two spheres. But sometimes models like these, especially on the arms, they only have one spherical surface exposed. So in order to find out the other end, I actually need to position my camera in Blender such that I'm on the axis of the cylinder, and then using this axis, I duplicate and pull that sphere along this axis, and to find the other position of the other end of the sphere. This is a very frustrating type. Mercy has a lot. That's why Mercy took forever for me to work it out. But no worries, we work it out anyway. And the third type of hitboxes that we can see here is these type, which both ends of the sphere is obstructed. And this is the only one of two special cases in which the hitboxes is colored cyan instead of green, because these capsules were not fitted at all. They were placed manually. The other only example except for Echo is in Winston's Primal Rage, hitbox number 12, because that is also a hitbox which I had to place manually because there's no any sort of reference point for me to fit a sphere onto, which is this one right here. See the cyan color? Yeah, that is placed manually, and I don't think that was even placed correctly, but this doesn't actually take up that much of the space. You can't really, there's not much exposed area of this hitbox anyway, so just leave it there. This is the only instance in the game that is only cyan color. The rest of them are green and red. Yep, that's it. I think I've covered everything. If you have any questions, just post it down into the Reddit comment section and I can answer them if I can. So, yep, that's it for today, and hopefully I can keep update everything. If new hero comes up, if they have patch note involving hitboxes, I will be changing these animations. And for the outpost, it's essentially now obsolete. which I'll redirect everything into this post, into this new post. Oh, yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.